Hello, welcome to The Road to Tokyo. I'm Tracey Holmes. Coming up, we look at the pay discrepancy between our Olympic and Paralympic gold medalists. But first, to one of the most amazing stories of these Tokyo Paralympic Games so far. Australian track and field star Madison de Rozario has waited a long time to be called the Paralympic champion. The three-time silver medalist won gold in the women's T53 800 metres. De Rozario credited her coach, wheelchair racing legend Louise Sauvage, for her success.
I suppose it's a bit of a roller coaster, a lot of ups and downs, but it's all the build-up. For me, it's almost the reward for me to see them compete. So yeah, it's been a long journey though this time, and a very interesting one at that, I suppose, for lockdowns and a majority of things and no competition, and yeah, it's been very all over the place. But yeah, the reward is definitely just getting to see the guys compete and, you know, doing the best they possibly can, and then if we get a few medals on the way, it's all right.
I want to talk to you specifically about Madison de Rozario because, you know, the amount of credit that she paid you, because she really felt that you believed in her before she believed in her. Is that part of the job of a coach in trying to foster that belief? Because you can see the athletic talent, but it's that heart and soul that goes into it as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think from the very early days, we obviously saw the talent that Madison had, and, you know, I always knew she could do anything and she could get to the top. It was just whether she wanted to do it. And yeah, like you said, I had to put that belief in her, and especially, you know, you get to the pointy end at this level and, you know, there's a lot of things going through your head and a lot of, you know, can I, can't I, you know, I don't know. And just you know, all those things go through their heads and they just can't cope sometimes. And I get that. So yeah, you've got to really install, you know, that in them, that they can actually do it, and they've done it in training, and they, you know, they have you behind them 100%.
How do you get them to bounce back from what might be a disappointment and heading into their next race? So heading into the 800 metres, what do you do? What do you say? Do you rejig the whole race strategy? Do you give them something to think about at the last minute before they head out? How does that work?
Yeah, we obviously have our race plans for the different races. Madison didn't have a great 5,000 and she was very disappointed in that. It was her first hit out, first time she competed against those girls for almost 2 years, which is very frustrating. I think a lot of athletes, not only us of course, but have failed to have any race practice, and that really did mess with her head a lot. But the 800 was a different beast, I could say. She was competing in the T53 class and she had different competitors, and it was a shorter race and she had different strengths for that race. So very much a different race plan for that as opposed to the 1500, which was later in the program as well.
Tell me about the atmosphere there and how different it is compared to other Paralympic Games. We saw it through the Olympics. I'm wondering how it is, how the Paralympians have been responding as well to the various strains and pressures and constraints, and yet still that feeling of camaraderie with the rest of the world at the major event.
Yeah, the team atmosphere is great. Yeah, it's been fantastic. These are my 8th Paralympics. Makes me feel very old, but they've done such an amazing job to keep us all safe, and the protocols they've put in place, and, you know, the fact that we can't do this or can't do that, it's okay. We all understand that, and we just want to get out there and compete, and that's the main priority, and doing the best we possibly can. So it's been really good, and I congratulate, you know, Paralympics Australia for doing that. It's just been brilliant. So yeah, no other games that I've ever been to, and probably never will, but hey, they're all different.
We've got to let you go. You've got to get a bus back out to the track. There's another session looming, of course. Are you predicting a big finish for the last few days of the Games?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, a lot of the guys have had to wait a long time to compete, so, you know, it's their time to shine. So, yeah, I look forward to the rest of our guys still competing out there. And, you know, we're obviously, in my sport, we finish off with the marathon on Sunday, so that'll be the big bang at the end, hopefully. And if the weather stays the same, it'll be nice and a bit cooler than it has been, so that'll be lovely for the marathon. And I really do hope that for the guys.
Australian Olympians who won gold in Tokyo got $20,000 bonuses. but our Paralympians were to receive nothing, until the Prime Minister made this announcement in Parliament.
And recognising the national significance of the Paralympic team, I'm very pleased to announce that the government will provide additional support to Paralympics Australia to ensure our Paralympic medalists will receive equivalent payments to our Olympic medalists, Mr Speaker. They have shown discipline, focus, determination, dogged persistence, a great sense of humour, Mr Speaker, a great sense of the Australian spirit on display. We have witnessed the essence of what sport is all about, being the best you possibly can be. 60 medals, including 13 gold so far.
Australian Paralympic Committee CEO Lynn Anderson gave this reaction.
Tracey, it's just wonderful news. Our athletes absolutely deserve equity across the board, including recognition and respect. We have fought so hard in the last 5 or 6 years to get that, and I will say along the way the federal government has been awesome. So to have this announcement today, we're just thrilled. It's just a great day for our Aussie Paralympians here in Tokyo. The statement goes beyond the financial reward to them, I think. Yes, they are elite athletes, and now we're standing side by side with their Olympic friends. But for us, it's just that moment of saying performance and the effort that they put in is the same across the board, whether you're a Paralympian or an able-bodied athlete. And that for us is a magnificent statement. And we're very, very proud, and we're hugely grateful to the federal government, in particular the PM, Prime Minister and Minister for Sport, who've always been very much side by side with us in our fight to have recognition.
The former president of the International Olympic Committee, Jacques Rogge, is being remembered as one that took the Olympic movement away from its elitism and grandeur towards a reputation of equality. He's also credited for helping to guarantee the survival of the Paralympic Games by signing numerous partnership agreements to provide financial stability. I spoke with his friend and one-time rival for the presidency, Dick Pound.
I think his role was to be stable in an unstable world condition and even IOC condition, and I thought he did that really well. And it was I think the IOC made the right choice. From my perspective, he asked me to stay on as the president of the World Anti-Doping Agency, and I said, well, I believe very strongly in this as you do, and I'm happy to do it, but only if you as the IOC president are 110% behind this effort. And he said, I'm there, and he was, and I thought that chemistry worked quite well.
It seems like there's always criticism for IOC presidents. There's always criticism for the IOC. There doesn't seem to be the same level of criticism for Jacques Rogge's presidency. And is that an accident, or is that because of, the times that he was there? Or is it because of some sort of ability or skill or, as you say, steadying of the ship that he brought?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of those things. He in the sense, his profession was that of an orthopedic surgeon, and surgeons have a way of looking at things. They examine the problem. They think about what the cure is or the diagnosis is, and they act. Living as a surgeon, but his heart was wrapped up and involved in sport as both a very successful competitor and as somebody who enjoyed it.
The Paralympians have become the champions of our living rooms over these past 2 weeks, but when they retire, it can often be a struggle that many of them find hard to deal with. Why is that the case? Brittany Klein explains.
At each Olympic Games, there are moments that etch Australian athletes into our country's sporting history. But from the highs of Olympic glory, what happens when it's all over and sporting careers come to an end? For athletes, it can be a difficult adjustment into retirement. For most, it's not just a career change, but a complete lifestyle adjustment. Think about it. Athletes dedicate their lives to their discipline, everything from training to what they eat, how they sleep and how they recover. Most can't remember who they were or what they did before it, and most of us will never understand the massive sacrifice it takes to compete at an Olympic Games, let alone bring home gold. And when it all comes to an end, research shows the majority of athletes will suffer an identity crisis.
There was a lot of negative emotions because a really important part of their identity is gone, and also really quite strong support networks.
It's not uncommon for elite athletes to notice dramatic physical changes as well. Athletes will go from having daily doses of serotonin from all the exercise. When this suddenly decreases, it plays with the chemistry in the human body, most notably our mood. With the reduced training, their nutrition and intake will also need to adapt, but it can be hard to find a new balance. As a result, disordered eating isn't uncommon. In fact, 16% of athletes were found to experience worrying mental health issues. Things like substance abuse, even homelessness was on the cards for those who haven't prepared for life outside of elite sport.
They're not actually earning superannuation when they're not getting paid employment as part of their sports career, so there needs to be some kind of plan in place to make sure they have financial security afterwards.
It's hard when it takes so much commitment to compete at an elite level. Psychologists say having a plan from the beginning really helps. But that's the brutal nature of elite sports. There are so many factors outside athletes' control. Things like having to retire due to injury or not qualifying when they'd hoped. Even teammates can be more of a hindrance than a help in preparing for life beyond competition.
Sometimes in a team environment, there might be pressures or feelings of expectation from their peers to continue in their sport or meet the next competition deadlines, and that might hold individuals back from having open and kind of productive conversations about their future career plans.
But it can't be all bad when you see former Olympians like Kieran Perkins with a successful career in banking. Or Natalie Cook, who won gold in Sydney 2000. She now heads up development at the Queensland Academy of Sport. But their success, like training, didn't come without hard work. Lauren Burns won a gold medal in Taekwondo at the Sydney 2000 Olympics. She had a plan from the very beginning.
I was studying naturopathy. I was really involved in that course. I saw that as my future and something that I really wanted to be involved in. So I think having that study and having something that focused me away from Taekwondo as I was training was good for my competition. It was good for my mental clarity coming back in, but then it also was great for my mental health afterwards coming out of retirement.
One of our most decorated Olympians, swimmer Ian Thorpe, has been vital in this space since retiring. He not only admitted he suffered crippling depression right throughout his career, away from the pool he's championed several causes, including awareness surrounding athlete mental health. The Australian Institute of Sport also has its own mental health referral network, a group of experts who understand the pressures and complexity of life in and beyond high-performance sport. Olympians Jodie Henry and Liesl Jones are ambassadors for the program.
Those that have role models or have observed teammates progressing through different life stages start to have some earlier thoughts about how they might prepare for transition.
Lauren Burns continues to work with athletes, hoping to give them perspective about life in and out of elite sport.
It's about understanding where you are on that journey. So, my goals now are to be, strong and fit and healthy and play sport with my kids, and, it's not to win an Olympic gold medal. So I think it's really putting it in perspective and not trying to be that athlete anymore.
And finally, we have been reporting on Afghanistan's two Paralympians. Zakia Kudadadi and Hussein Rasooli, after they became trapped in the country when the Taliban took over a fortnight ago. It looked like the pair wouldn't realise their dream of competing at Tokyo. But after a difficult journey, the athletes made it out of Kabul and this week into Japan. Hussein missed his 100-metre event, but he was able to compete in the long jump. He recorded a personal best. Kudadadi has made history, becoming the first Afghan woman to compete at the Paralympics in Taekwondo. She made it just in time for her event. And that's all for this week on the road to Tokyo. See you next time.